You're listening to Food Tech Talk, Supply Chain Insights from Farm to Fork, a podcast discussing the latest trends and technology in the food and supplement industries, featuring conversations with regulatory experts, quality and safety champions, and thought leaders across the industry. I'm your host, Lydia Adams. Let's jump right in. Joining us today is Dr. Wesam Al-Jeddawi, a distinguished leader in the field of food science with an impressive track record in enhancing food safety and quality across the industry, currently serving as the Executive Director of Laboratory Services at Core Catalyst Food Sciences. Dr. Wesam brings over 6 years of industry expertise and 7 years of academic experience, specializing in food microbiology, safety, and quality control. With a robust background in research and development, laboratory management, and educational outreach, he is passionate about leveraging scientific innovation to advance food safety standards. Today, he's here to dive deep into his experiences and explore the cutting-edge technologies and methodologies that are shaping the future of food safety. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lydia, for having me.
Dr. Wesam, to start off, could you share with us how your journey in food sciences and safety began and how it led you to where you are today?
My journey in food science started in 2008 when I was appointed as a teaching assistant at the University of Baghdad after graduating with a bachelor degree in food science and biotechnology. Then I started teaching the undergraduate student food microbiology and safety lab courses from 2008 to 2011. Then I was awarded a fully funded scholarship to pursue my master's degree in food science and human nutrition at the Clemson University, South Carolina, United States. Then I graduated with a master's degree, and then I returned to University of Baghdad in 2014 and started teaching food chemistry and quality control, along with conducting research project on food preservation. In 2016, I received a fully funded fellowship from Clemson University and Electronics Appliances Company to pursue my PhD in food and nutrition and packaging sciences at the Clemson University. Then I started teaching quantity food production lab, food analysis, food chemistry lab, as well as creating an inquiry team research in food science at the Clemson University. So from 2016 to 2018, I was just teaching, conducting research for creating an inquiry team, as well as conducting my PhD research project. And then at the middle of 2018, while I was PhD student, I received a job offer from Duke Foods as director of QA. And the CEO of Duke Foods sponsored me for the permanent residency and offered me the opportunity to develop and improve the company. In Duke Foods, I focus on food safety and the quality and how to enhance the quality in our finished product by helping the R&D department, operation department, and the QA department. Then I started doing shelf life studies, food safety research, challenge study, microbiological and chemical analysis for our food product. Then I established a food microbiology lab in Duke Foods. And then I was promoted to be a director of laboratory scientific research and also consultation. And then in 2021, I established the quality system management for the lab and obtained the ISO accreditation certificate for the lab from the American Association for Laboratory Accreditation. They call them A2LI. Then in 2024, we decided to expand our mission to our society to build a new organization that called Catalyst Food Sciences to focus on food safety and the quality for food manufacturing companies in the United States and abroad. Now, at Core Catalyst Food Sciences, we help all food manufacturing companies conducting the microbiological analysis, chemical analysis, shelf life studies, challenge studies, the microbiological analysis like Listeria species, Salmonella species, E. coli, coliform, aerobic bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus, mold, yeast, and more. We have a strong partnership with the Clemson University and other accredited institutions. That is basically a summary of my journey for food science and safety and how it led me to where I am today.
Did you always know that you wanted to go into this field, or what kind of inspired your passion to become a food scientist?
First, when I was in the high school, I didn't know this term. But when I get in the College of Agriculture, Department of Food Science and Biotechnology, I started, feeling to love this major. But I was inspired basically by my mentors and research problems. After graduating with my bachelor degree and then started doing my master's degree, I was inspired by Dr. Downson, Dr. Northfield, Dr. Redemel, Dr. Johnny McCracker, and those are my mentors. And also, I was inspired by research problems. Like, there are a lot of problems in the research, so we need to solve those problems. And most of the problems in food safety are directly related to foodborne illness and eventually to human health. Therefore, I have heard a lot of stories about people who die because of the food. So I was curious to know the reasons why people die from food or get illness. That makes me search and find a way to make food safe for all people. Therefore, these reasons makes me responsible for food and leading them to sustain life and to promote good health. So that was basically the thing that inspired me and let me continue with food science.
Having that underlying passion for food safety. And that leads us actually into our topic. We're going to be talking about food safety and shelf life and technology. So let's kick that off with your background in integrating cutting edge technologies and food safety protocols. Maybe start us off by explaining how emerging technologies like blockchain and AI are revolutionizing the traceability and safety of food products.
Yes, exactly. That is a very important topic. We have basically a lot of new technology, especially in food safety, food science. So those basically, for example, right now we have the artificial intelligence. That basically is very important for our food safety. But when you go basically and then see how the AI help with safety, you will see that it is really valuable tool for improving future food safety. For example, a new research conducted by University of California, Davis, and I think published in Journal of Applied and Environmental Microbiology in 2023, they found that a technique using AI and optical imaging, I think, can quickly and accurately identify bacteria in food, making it promising approach for preventing foodborne outbreaks and illnesses. The team basically used algorithm called you only look once, like YOLO. YOLO is basically a new technology or a new method to detect bacteria. It is simple, cost effective, and rapid approach compared to conventional pathogen detection method, like our regular method for Listeria and salmonella. Once the food is processed, it can be tested, and on the same day, you can make sure that there is no pathogens and you can ship your product. They also found that the YOLO discriminate against E. coli from 7 other common foodborne bacterial species, including Salmonella, with an average precision of 90. So AI is very important for food safety and food science, I mean, in general. And probably in the future, we will see a lot of technologies for this purpose.
Something you mentioned that I'm just curious about is being in academia and then translating that over to the practical industry. How do you find that that works well? And what are some ways that the industry can take those research studies and all those awesome things going on at universities and kind of pull them into practice? And how do you guys make that happen?
It's really simple. First, you need to know the rule of food safety first. And then after that, when you make like one of the experiments, and then you see that this experiment is really set for preventing the microorganisms or pathogens, then you will say, hey, this experiment is really useful. I'm going to apply it in food industry. It's really simple, but first you need to do the experiments, and then after that you need to find out, you need to see the conclusion, and then you can apply it. Like for example, I had multiple projects that are really interested, and I apply them in food industry. So, for example, one of the projects was about extending the shelf life of salmon, and we tested multiple temperatures to store the salmon for a long time. And we have seen that -7 Celsius is really good for extending the shelf life of salmon, while our home freezer temperature is -18 Celsius. So using -7 is better than using -18 from the energy consumption standpoint. So that project was funded by Electrolux Appliances Company at that time. We recommended them to have -7 temperature in the freezers so they can store their food, extend the shelf life with reducing the energy consumption. There's basically a lot of things that we have done and apply them in food industry.
That's super interesting. So, in your research, are there certain types of foods that are more challenging with shelf life? What type of innovations have you guys discovered are going to be really helpful to extend the shelf life of those products?
So it's basically there are a lot of factors that affect the shelf. There are factors, we call them internal factors, and there are external factors. The internal factors is something about the characteristic of the food. Like if the food has higher water activity, higher moisture content, higher pH, absolutely the shelf life of this food is going to be limited. Like, for example, the vegetables, fruits, seafood, milk, yogurt. So there are new innovations and a new technology that you can extend the shelf, such as HPP, higher pressure process, or modified atmosphere package. All of these can extend the shelf life. However, as food scientists, you need to know what is the characteristic of the food first. What is the pH? What is the water activity? Does it have high protein, high fat? Because, high fat, you need to consider what type of fat. Is it unsaturated fatty acid? Is it saturated fatty acid? If it is unsaturated fatty acid, it's going to be susceptible to oxidation and it's going to limit the shelf life. The shelf life will be shorter. It's really a lot of factors that you need to consider to extend the shelf life. But the most challenging food to extend the shelf life is really the fresh seafood and also vegetables. Those because they have very high water activity and moisture content. So you need to have a special design for packaging, for preservation technique to extend the shelf.
And then, speaking of some of these factors, what type of environmental factors have you seen that really play a role in food spoilage? And what are some effective strategies that you've been able to implement to mitigate these risks in the lab?
Basically, the rate of spoilage is influenced by the environment. The exposure of food to oxygen, light, temperature, high temperature, or even a small amount of moisture or high humidity can cause chemical and microbiological reactions. And those reactions, basically the chemical reactions and microbial reactions, can damage the food eventually. Therefore, changing the environment can help delay spoiling. For example, storing food at low temperature reduce the spoilage because both microbial and enzymatic decay is faster as at high temperature, right? When the temperature is very high, the enzyme and the microbial growth will be very high. So you need to have a clean environment. You need to test the environment every time for the pathogen, for Listeria, Salmonella. And also the most important thing that people basically sometimes they don't consider it or sometimes they don't look at is air quality. Air quality is very important in food industry and also to the shelf life. For example, the oil-free screw air compressor is the most used type in the food and also beverage industry, where the compressed air directly meets the food product. Sometimes the compressed air is not as clean as it happens to be, and the treated compressed air contains many potential harmful and dangerous microorganisms and also contaminants that must be removed or reduced to the acceptable level to protect, the consumer and also to provide safe and cost-effective protection facilities. Along with the moisture and particularly the matter, the inlet air to the compressor generally carry about 5 to 15 bacteria per cubic feet per minute. So a 75 horsepower compressor with a capacity of 300 standard cubic feet per minute takes in about 100,000 to 1 million bacteria each hour. These bacteria get compressed along with the air and begin their journey through the compressed air system and they go. Therefore, an air dryer, an air filter, should be used beyond the air filter found in an air compressor. This will lower the dew point of the air and takes out particles that may negatively impact the air compressor. So air quality is very important. And sometimes people, they ignore, especially in food industry, they ignore this factor.
And this kind of brings me to my next question about discovery of these things. So, can you discuss the role of advanced analytical techniques such as GCMS or scanning electron microscopy in enhancing the food safety compliance?
So the gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, what we call GCMS, is basically one of the analytical technique adopted by testing laboratories conducting food-related analysis. We use it for detecting and quantifying many thousands of residues and contaminants from different chemical classes, basically potentially extremely low level. Recently, the GCMS has become one of the most effective methods, even for identifying specific microorganisms such as mycotoxin, marine toxins, glycosides, and other toxic materials. It's really important and it helps us in food safety. There are also some other things like scanning electron microscope. Scanning electron microscope is used to conduct forensic investigations on metal and the glass foreign object. It is excellent method for identifying metal foreign objects, food, such as wire, dental filling, bones, metal packaging, and a lot of things. In addition, scanning electron microscope basically allows detailed checking of the morphology of wound-borne pathogens. Therefore, a more detailed observation of the interaction between human cells and bacteria or interbacterial interaction is possible through scanning electron microscope. So it's basically, I mean, those two technologies, and then also we have more like virus, PCR, all of these helping us in improving food safety.
I love that. I'd love to switch gears and kind of talk about your role as a food safety educator as well. So, what key concepts do you really emphasize when you're training new scientists or employees in the food industry? And what do you find is the most highest misconceptions when you're doing that education?
What I do exactly when I train the new scientists or new employees, first of all, I establish food safety culture and emphasize the basic GMP. For example, employees must wash their hands thoroughly before handling any food item to eliminate the risk of cross contamination. In addition, they use of gloves, hairnets, aprons, all of these types of things. So first of all, is establishing food safety culture to the employee. Second, preventing foodborne illnesses outbreaks. For example, recognize and address potential hazards like undercooked foods, inadequate storage, contaminated services. So I always emphasize the employees about this point. I always say, hey guys, legal ramifications and fines. This is very important. For example, failing to comply with the regulations, with the FDA or USDA regulations, can lead to legal consequences, including recall, fines, and also temporary closure of the establishment. And the last one, which is very important, is very important to me and to all food manufacturing businesses, reputational damage. In use of foodborne illnesses or unsanitary practices can spread rapidly, causing damage to the establishment. So this is really very important. If there is a failure with the regulations or if there is a recall in X company or B company, the reputation is going to be low. And people will review those facilities and they may not purchase any product from them in the future. So it's really reputational damage.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors. I love that you said, just kind of establishing that food safety culture from the beginning and just sharing the importance of that. And I think you have an interesting perspective because you understand all the science behind it, but then you're also trying to bring that into the culture. So you mentioned regulatory. So, from your perspective, what are the most pressing regulatory challenges that are facing the food industry today? And, if you could tie that also back to what we talked about with shelf life and safety standards.
I would say the most pressing regulatory challenges facing the food industry today is the failure to have a strong hazard analysis, including identifying biological, chemical, and physical health. The other thing is maintaining the highest standard of personal and facility hygiene. This is really challenging, including strict hand washing practices, proper handling and labeling of allergens, and avoiding allergen cross contamination. The proper temperature control of food items. This is also challenging. Storage, preparation, cooking, holding. Those are really the challenges that we face for our finished product and also for the shelf life study. However, ensuring that food is safe requires collaborative approach between the government, industry, and consumers because they must work together to achieve the common goal of protecting public health.
Absolutely. And when you look forward and think about the emerging trends, that kind of are following that regulatory motion, what do you predict will be most significantly impacting food safety and shelf life in the future?
I would say that the emerging trends that I predict will most significantly impact food safety. The first thing is enhanced detection and monitoring systems, such as PCR, DNA sequencing, and biosensors are enable faster and more accurate detection of harmful bacteria like Salmonella and the other thing is robotics and automation and automated hygiene system like hyperspectral imaging and computer vision can efficiently scan and inspect food products for defects, contaminants, and also freshness. The other thing is data analytics and predictive models like machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence. AI is very important, which can analyze data to identify the correlation between various factors and predict food safety issues. The other thing is, I would say, is food safety culture and education, such as consumer awareness and providing comprehensive training and certificate programs for the food handlers, processors, and inspectors. I would say companies should adapt to these trends by leveraging these advancements and investing in education and awareness, as well as consulting an expert or expert people and having a good environment to adapt to these trends.
It's all connected. I have one last question before we get to our final questions. So, you've done a lot in the food industry in your career. What project or innovation are you most proud of and why?
So regarding the shelf life studies, I am so proud of a project that we conducted at the Clemson University, South Carolina, the United States. We conducted a research project to extend the shelf life of salmon during the freezing. I found out that freezing salmon to -7 Celsius and increase the shelf life to 4 months and also reduce the energy consumption of home freezing. Since home freezer temperature is -18 Celsius. Another project is inhibiting the browning color of polyphenol oxidase enzyme reaction in peaches slice using combination of citric acid and ascorbic acid within specific concentration and specific time of immersing the peaches in this solution. Regarding the food safety, I established a procedure to detect Listeria and salmonella both in food samples and environmental swabs within 1 day using MIDAS instrument. So those are the most projects that I am proud of during my career.
Okay, so now we go into a little bit of our fun questions. So, who in the world of food safety, food science, would you most like to take to lunch?
Very good question. If I say somebody, somebody will be angry. So I would say Darren Detweiler is the person that I would like to have lunch with. He has played a unique role in controlling foodborne illnesses, serving as advisor for the USDA. I would like to learn more from him.
Great answer. I agree. So now looking back on your significant experiences in the food industry, what advice would you give to an emerging leader in this industry who wants to make a big difference, make an impact?
I recommend basically five points or maybe 6 points. First, define your food safety vision and goals. Second, provide regular and relevant training that is specialized with the problem that you are facing. Empower your team to make decisions and take action. Monitor and measure your food safety results, provide feedback and recognition, and also promote culture of food safety. That is basically everything what I recommend for the new scientist or a new employee for this major.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us, Dr. Wesam. I think just your experience going from education to the lab to being the educator is really helpful for us as we all are on this mission to change food safety for the better. So thank you so much for joining us on Food Tech Talk.
Thank you, Lydia, for having me.
And thanks to our listeners for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for another bite-sized nugget of Food Tech Talk, supply chain insights from farm to fork. To learn more about Trustwell and its technology platform that connects product formulation, nutrition analysis, and compliant labeling with traceability, recall readiness, and supply chain transparency, please visit www.trustwell.com. Thanks for listening.